Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ramo, Hare Ramo, Ramo Ramo, Hare Hare, HariBol. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Jaya Prabhupada, Jaya Prabhupada, Prabhupada, Srila Prabhupada. Jai Srila Prabhupada ki jai.
Hare Krishna. We are blessed today with His holy presence of His Holiness Radhanath Swami Maharaj. After a very, very long time, that is Kartik. And if you want this frequency to increase, if you want this frequency to be better, let us very, very, very enthusiastically welcome His Holiness Radhanath Swami Maharaj by loudly chanting 3 times. We are also very fortunate and blessed that today we have one of the senior most disciple of His Divine Grace Bhakti Vedanta, Bhakti Prabhupada, that His Grace, sorry Prabhu, he has taken shelter for last 50 years and has been conducting Namahat program all across the world, presently residing in America in a rural community, and beside his various temple services, presently he is involved in agriculture, and he is here with his good wife Shamla Sakhi Mataji. So we welcome both of them here by loudly chanting 3 times.
Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Gopijana Vallabha Girivardhari Gopijana Vallabha Girivardhari Yasodanandana Brajajana Ranjana Yasodanandana Brajajana Ranjana Yamuna Tira Panachari Yamuna Tira Panachari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Jaya Gopijana Vallabha Girivardhari Gopijana Vallabha Girivardhari Yasodanandana Brajajana Ranjana Yasodanandana Brajajana Ranjana Yamuna Tira Panachari Yamuna Tira Vanachari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Jayom Vishnupad Paramhamsa Pativrajakacharsha Asto Tadasata Sri Srimad Abhay Charanaravinda Bhakti Vedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai. ISKCON founder Acharya Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai. Jayom Vishnupad Paramhamsa Pativrajakacharsha Asto Tadasata Sri Srimad Srila Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Thakur Prabhupada Ki Jai. Ananti Koti Vaishnava Vrinda Ki Jai. Namacharya Srila Haridas Thakur Ki Jai. प्रेम से कहो श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानंद श्री अद्वैत गदाधर श्रीवासादि गौर भक्त वृंद की जय। श्री श्री राधा कृष्ण गोप गोपीनाथ श्याम कुंद राधा कुंज गिरि गोवर्धन की जय। श्री वृंदावन धाम की जय। श्री नवद्वीपमायापुर धाम की जय। श्री जगन्नाथ पुरी धाम की जय। श्री मथुरा धाम की जय। श्री द्वारका धाम की जय। गंगा मई की जय। यमुना मई की जय। भक्ति देवी की जय। तुलसी देवी की जय। समवेद भक्त वृंद की जय। गौर प्रेमानंदी। All glories to the assembled devotees. All glories to the assembled devotees. All glories to the assembled devotees. All glories to Sri Guru and Sri Gauranga. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Utsangan Narado Jagye Dakshon Gustad Swayam Bhuvaha Pranad Vashishtha Pranad Vashishta Sanjato Brigos Taptvachi Karat Kratu Utsangan Narado Jagye Dakshon Gustad Swayam Bhuvaha Pranad Vashishta Sanjato Brigustvachi Karat Kratu Utsangad Narado Jagye Dakshon Gustad Swayam Bhuvaha Pranad Vashishta Sanjato Brigustvachi Karat Kratu. ladies. Utsangat. By transcendental deliberation, Narada, Mahamuni Narada, Jagye was generated, Daksha, Angustat, from the thumb, Swayambhuva of Brahma, Pranat, from the life air or breathing, Vashishta, Sanjata was born, Bhrigu, the sage Bhrigu, Tvachi, from the touch, Karat, from the hand, Kratu, the sage Kratu. Narada was born from the deliberation of Brahma, which is the best part of his body. Vashishta was born from his breathing, Daksha from a thumb, Bhrigu from his touch, and Kratu from his hand. Purport by His Divine Grace, A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupada. Narada was born from the best deliberation of Brahma, because Narada was able to deliver the Supreme Lord to anyone he liked. The Supreme Personality of Godhead cannot be realized by any amount of Vedic knowledge or by any number of penances. But a pure devotee of the Lord, like Narada, can deliver the Supreme Lord by his goodwill. The very name Narada suggests that he can deliver the Supreme Lord. Nara means the Supreme Lord, and Da means one who can deliver. That he can deliver the Supreme Lord does not mean that the Lord is like a commodity that can be delivered to any person. But Narada can deliver to anyone the transcendental loving service of the Lord as a servitor, friend, parent, or lover, as one may desire out of it one's own transcendental love for the Lord. In other words, it is Narada only who can deliver the path of Bhakti Yoga, the highest mystic means for attainment of the Supreme Lord. Om Agyantimidandasya Gyananjanachalakaya Chakshurunmilitam yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha. Shri Chaitanya Manobhishtam Sthapitam Yena Bhutale Swayam Rupa Kadamayam Vishwapadantikam Vandeham Sri Guru Sri Juta Padakamalam Sri Guru Vaishnavamscha Sri Rupam Sagrajataham Sahagana Raghunathan Vitam Tam Sajivam Sadvaitam Savadutam Parijana Sahitam Krishna Chaitanya Devam Sri Radha Krishna Padam Sahagana Lalita Sri Vishakam He Krishna Karuna Sindhu Dina Bandhu Jagatpate Gopesha Gopika Kanta Radha Kanta Namostate Pratanchana Gaurangi Radhe Vrindavaneshwari Vrishabhanu Sute Devi Pranamami Hadipriye Vanchakalpatarubhyascha Kripa Sindhubhya evacha Patitanam Bhavanibhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namaha. Sri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Sri Advaita Gadadhar Srivasadi Gaura Bhaktabinda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare Krishna Hare Rama Rama Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama Rama Hare Hare Nama Om Vishnupadaya Krishna Preshtaya Bhutale Srimate Bhaktivedanta Swami Iti Namane Namaste Saraswati Deve Gauravani Pracharine Nirvishesha Shunyavadi Pastacha Desada. Narada was born from the deliberation of Brahma, which is the best part of his body. Vashishta was born from his breathing, Daksha from a thumb, Bhrigu from his touch, and Kratu from his hand. We are reading today from Srimad Bhagavatam, Canto 3, Chapter 12, entitled Creation of the Kumaras and Others, Text 23. Hare Krishna. I am very grateful, very honored, and very happy to be back with all of you. Thank you. In today's verse, we are reading about how Lord Brahma creates the particular universe that we are living. It begins where Brahma, before creating the physical elements, he creates the emotional states of material bondage. fear, ego, sense of proprietorship, anger, envy. Because material existence is a place where people are trapped in a misconception that they're separate from God. And it also provides the opportunity for people to reconnect and be reunited, ultimately in the loving service of the Lord. Lord Brahma, before creating the material elements, knowing and seeing the depth of suffering that people must undergo in material existence, he felt very bad about being a creator. Because after all, Lord Brahma is a great devotee of the Lord. Paradukkha dukhi. To a great devotee, other people's suffering becomes my suffering. And other people's happiness becomes my happiness. Could everyone hear? They are not happy. On behalf of Lord Brahma, sound system should create the opportunity for people to be happy. But yet it was Lord Brahma's service to create material existence. Krishna tells in Bhagavad Gita, Abrahma bhavana loka punar avartanojana mamupetya dagondeya punar janmana vidyate. From the highest planet in this material world, the abode of Brahma, Satyaloka, down to the lowest, Patala Loka. They are all places where there is inevitable suffering. Janma mrityu jara vyadi dukkha doshana darshana. The soul is searching for eternal happiness. The soul is searching for eternal love, because that is the intrinsic nature of the soul itself. Life is meant for great happiness, because the soul is the source of all life. And Krishna, the Paramatma, is the source of all souls and all existence. And he is filled with nothing but all happiness. And we are part and parcel. But when we forget our eternal nature, our original nature, and identify with these external energies, then we're bound to suffer. Whatever happiness in this world is just a glimpse into the happiness the soul is seeking. But it's limited, and what will inevitably end. So Brahma, who is compassionate and thinking of every living being's well-being, he's feeling quite sad about this service of creating a world of bondage and suffering. But yet, that's what he's being called upon to do by the Supreme Lord. So Brahma meditates, contemplates to purify himself, to gain, by the mercy of the Lord, the motivation to understand his purpose. And then creation begins. The first created being from Brahma's mind, not from his physical body, but from his mind, came the four sages, the Kumaras. They were little children, just born of Brahma's mind. And Lord Brahma, in the service of the Lord, requested them to help to procreate life within this world. But the Kumaras, they had already prepared themselves for their service by their meditation, by their tapasya. And they told their father, we do not want to be entangled. We will remain brahmacharis. This was interfering with Brahma's service. He became angry, but he did not express it through any words or any actions. Because he was a great saint, he was controlling his anger, but the anger was there. They were disappointing. It wasn't the anger of an ego, it was the anger that you're interfering with the service I've been given. But that anger needed some outlet, and it came from between his eyebrows in the form of Rudra. Rudra was, because anger is a combination of passion and ignorance, tamasa and raja, was blue and red. And Brahma gave instructions to Rudra, gave many names to Rudra. When Rudra was born, he cried. He cried, where am I supposed to be? What am I supposed to do? What are the names you're going to call me? And because he cried, he was given the name Rudra. And to perform his activities, he performed his tapasya. And he was given a service of destruction. But like Brahma, who is representing the mode of passion, creating Rudra, he's actually the greatest of all devotees. And then he began to create various prajapatis, or people to help him. And we see that all of these people are actually great sages. In the previous verse, after Rudra, Brahma, who was empowered by the Supreme Personality of Godhead, thought of generating living entities and begot 10 sons for the extensions of the generations. Marichi, Atri, Angira, Pulastya, Pulaha, Kratu, Brigu, Vashishta, Daksha, and the 10th son, Narada, were born. So this idea of grihastha ashram, this idea of procreating children, it originated not with just ordinary beings, but among the greatest of saints. Sages that even the Supreme Personality of Godhead in his various incarnations honored, respected, became disciples of, and took instructions from. Marichi, Atri Muni, he and Anasuya were the sons of Soma, Durvasa, and Dattatreya. Pulasya Muni, Brigu Muni. Vashishta was the guru of Ramchandra. And Daksha, he was He has many details of his past. And the 10th son, Narada, were all born. And it's described that many of these sages were born from various parts of Brahma's body, as we read today. But Narada was not born of any of the physical parts. He was born of the mind. Not just the mind. He was born from the deliberations. Srila Prabhupada writes, from the best deliberation of Brahma. Narada was especially born to fulfill the very purpose of creation, to give people the opportunity to awaken ecstatic, pure love for Krishna, for God. In this verse we cited, Brahma Bhuvanaloka, describes as miseries from the highest place in the material world to the lowest. But one who takes shelter of me never takes birth again in this material existence. That was Narada's function. And Srila Prabhupada so beautifully describes in this purport, Nara means God, the Supreme Personality of Godhead. And Da means one who delivers, one who gives God to others. But how is he giving God to others? He's not just giving Krishna. He's giving the path by which we could realize Krishna. And throughout the ages, within the Vedic literatures, the Puranas, Mahabharata, Srimad, Bhagavatam, there are so many narrations of the greatness of Narada Muni's compassion. Narada Muni bhajai vinaradhikara mananame. Wherever he goes, he's spreading the glories of the Lord. And the example he sets as a merciful, compassionate instrument of Krishna's grace, teaching even the least qualified people how to perfect their lives in love of God. Narada Muni is the ultimate yogi, the ultimate preacher. Some of the examples we read of a robber named Ratnakara. Ratnakara, he had good intentions in his life, but somehow or other, due to circumstances of this world, associations, influences, economic necessities, pressures, he had a family. He was robbing people. He was violently stealing from people on the roadsides, even pilgrims. And he met Narada Muni. Narada Muni knew he was committing so many sinful activities and causing so much pain and distress. Narada Muni came to give him the choice to transform his life. He didn't have anything to rob. He had his veena. Narada Muni was preaching to him. Very practical. He said, do you know what karma is being created every time you cause harm to another person? If we hurt a person's heart or mind with our words, or if we hurt a person's bodies through our actions, directly or indirectly, we must suffer the corresponding reaction. That is a law of nature. Does not matter who we are. Every person you're causing pain to, and all the people that are suffering because of the pain to that person, you must acquire all that suffering. And Ratnakara, he was very practical. He gave the same argument that practically everyone in this room or everyone in this world would give as a justification. I'm doing it for my family. Have you heard that before? Narada told Ratnakara, go to your family, ask them if they are willing to share all the karma with you. Ratnakara said, of course they will. I'm doing it for them. He said, go ask them. Ratnakara went to his family, said, you know, the way I make a living and everything I'm giving you, I'm getting a lot of karma. You're willing to share it, yes? In so many words, they said, no way. It's your karma, not ours. He was quite humbled by that. And he came back to Narada, and because he was feeling guilty, he was feeling helpless, he became humble. It took that. He didn't just approach Narada Muni as somebody who was inquisitive. He understood this is a desperate situation. He said, what should I do? Narada was so merciful. He said, you chant the name of Rama. Because the name of God can purify you of all sins and awaken your true propensity of loving devotional service. Chant the name of Rama. Chaitanya Mahaprabhu explains, Nam Nama Kari Bahuda Nija Sarva Shaktis. That the Lord is present within his name. The Lord is none different than the name. Radha, Krishna, our Radha and Krishna. With all the potencies, all the beauty, all the sweetness, all the power of God are within the name. Krishna tells in Gita, as you approach me, as you surrender to me, I will reciprocate accordingly. So as we have faith in the name of God, as we surrender to doing the will of the name of God, as we take shelter of the name of God, the Lord reveals himself within the name to us. Bhakti Vinod Thakur, Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Thakur, citing from the scriptures, describe simply by chanting the name of the Lord sincerely without offense, the name will reveal the supreme beauty of Radha and Krishna, the pastimes of Radha and Krishna, the abode of Radha and Krishna, the intimate loving associates of Radha and Krishna, the qualities of Radha and Krishna. They are all accessible to the sincere chanting of the holy names. How many of you can say the name Ram? You just did. You just did. And practically anyone you meet on the street, you can get them to say it. But Ratnakara was so sinful. He couldn't say it. His mouth could not vibrate the name Rama. What a hopeless condition that is. It's like if a person's dying and there's only one medicine could take them and they can't take the medicine. Bhaktivedanta Hospital, I think you've seen people like this. They just can't assimilate the medicine. They can't take it. So they die. Enechya Shari Maya, Nashibaro Lagi Harinamaha Mantra Lao Tumimag. Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, he's giving the holy name of Krishna as a supreme medicine. And how is he doing it? He's doing it as a representative of the parampara. And after Brahma, Narada is the guru of our parampara. Srila Prabhupada would say sometimes we are in the disciplic succession of Narada Muni. So Narada was very creative in his compassion. Because when a devotee's heart is deeply compassionate, it's not just, we're not attached to just the ritual. We're attached to somehow or other helping this person. He said, you're very attached to death. You know, there's so much death around. Chant the name of Mara, death. That he could easily do. He said, just continuously chant Mara, Mara, Mara. There Narada left him with that instruction. Narada had such faith in the holy names of the Lord. He chanted Mara, Mara, Marama, Mama, Mara, Mara, Marama, Rama, 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 Rama. It worked even for me. Everyone try it, please. Mara, 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 Mara. Jai Shri Ram. Let us very, very gratefully welcome His Holiness Indradyumna Swami Maharaj. Many, many millions of times louder. Very auspicious timing. So he became purified by chanting the names of Ram. And by the mercy of Narada Muni, he entered into a state where he was doing tapasya, constantly chanting and meditating on the names of Ram. Ratnakara performed such a tapasya. He was so detached from the bodily conception of life, atoning for all of the sinful and immoral activities, and completely taking shelter of Lord Ram. We may be uncomfortable when we're chanting japa. Yes, and we're disturbed by that. Ratnakara, he was so determined. While he was meditating on Ram's name for so long, ants created an anthill that completely covered his body. And when he emerged from the anthill, he was given the name Valmiki. And it is described, he was a robber, he was cruel. One day he saw a hunter kill a croncha bird. And when the bird died, the wife of the bird or the partner of the bird was crying piteously. And he felt so compassionate. He felt so much compassion, not only for the poor dead bird, but for the person who was crying and weeping because of their death. He composed a beautiful line of poetry, which is declared to be the beginning of what we know as Sanskrit poetry. It came from his compassion, from his feeling toward the sufferings of others. Previous to meeting Narada Muni, he couldn't care less about the sufferings of others. What was good for him, he was willing to let anybody suffer for his benefits. Sometimes we say, well, that's business. You hurt others, that's part of the... But it doesn't mean it's without karma. He became so transformed by Narada's association. And then by the mercy of Lord Brahma, he was revealed the beautiful pastimes of Lord Ramchandra and became the author of Ramayana. What we know about Lord Ram and all the great authors and devotees who have shared with us Ram's Leelas, the foundation, the origin was Valmiki Ramayana. Narada Muni one of his great disciples was Vyasadeva, the literary incarnation of Godhead. In Badrikashram, Vyasadeva had already compiled the Rig Veda, Yajurveda, Samaveda, Atharva Veda. He already compiled Puranas, Itihastas, Mahabharata. But sitting on bank of Saraswati River, he was feeling something missing. He was so compassionate, even though he gave more than anybody had ever given in the history of the world as far as spiritual literatures. Still, he was feeling unsatisfied. That was the nature of his compassionate heart. And Narada Muni came. He came to Badrikashram and explained that you have not yet described that literature that is completely free of Artha Kama Dhamma Moksha. That is completely free of anything other than the way for unmotivated, uninterrupted, loving service to the Supreme Lord. You have not yet revealed the beautiful pastimes of Krishna in Vrindavan, in the fullness. And by Narada's instruction, Vyasadeva then, he wrote the Srimad Bhagavatam. Guru of Valmiki, Guru of Vyas. He's the guru of the author of Ramayana, Mahabharata, Srimad Bhagavatam. It's quite esteemed. He was the guru of Kayadu, the wife of Hiranyakashipu. And he spoke the transcendental pastimes and teachings of the Lord to her. And the son that was in her womb at the time heard those teachings. And when he was born, he was given the name Prahlad, the son of Prahlad Maharaj, one of the great Mahajans. What was the power of Narada Muni? The little 5-year-old child, Prahlad, we know the atrocities that the child had to endure. He was everyone's well-wisher. His father, Hiranyakashipu, felt threatened by him simply because he was a devotee of God. Hiranyakashipu was so powerful, so evil, with the harshest possible words anyone could imagine. Do you know what it's like to be insulted? How it's like an arrow in your heart. Can you imagine being insulted by Hiranyakashipu? With 100% of all Hiranyakashipu's arrogance, envy, and wrath, he was speaking insults at little Prahlad. I mean, he's his own father. And yet Prahlad was always saying, he was always respectful, loving, and kind to his father and everyone else. Always trying to help him, always trying to save him. And one day after they were trying to kill him in so many ways, throwing him off mountains into the ocean, putting him in fire and pits of snakes, fed poisons, his little friends asked, "Where did you get this knowledge?" He told his classmates, "From my guru, Narada Muni." He said, "You never leave the palace of your father. How do you meet Narada Muni?" And Prahlad never saw Narada with his eyes. He just heard his voice in the womb of mother. For many of you, you may have never seen Srila Prabhupada. But Srila Prabhupada is a fully empowered representative of Narada Muni. By hearing his words, by reading his books, by hearing his words in the form of recordings, even by hearing his words by devotees repeating his words. We have the same access to Srila Prabhupada's mercy as Prahlad did to Narada Muni. It's just based, how we are transformed is based on our receptivity, our willingness to hear, our willingness to be absorbed, and our willingness to follow by serving. Narada Muni was we're reading about verse about Narada Muni today. He was guru of Dhruva Maharaj. We know how Dhruva was insulted by his stepmother with very harsh words. He just wanted to sit on his father's lap while his father was on the throne. His stepbrother Uttama was there. He was just so eager for his father's love, like any child. And stepmother said, "You have no right. You are not born of my womb. If you want to sit on the lap of your father on that throne, you must die and take rebirth in my womb." He was a little boy. He wasn't like Prahlad at the time. He was deeply hurt. To the core of his heart, he was hurt. And he turned to his father for protection, and his father ignored him. He felt utterly betrayed. He ran to his mother, and she was helpless. Suniti. She said, "What your stepmother said is correct. If you take shelter of the Supreme Personality of Godhead, so Prahlad went to the forest. He was also 5 years old. And Narada Muni, by the will of Lord Krishna, he came to that forest. And he didn't just give him Vishnu, like Valmiki, like Prahlad. He gave him the path which leads to Vishnu. He gave him the path of bhakti. He told little Dhruva, "You go to Vrindavan, holy place of Madhuban. You go to bank of Yamuna River." He taught him deity worship in such a simple way. Just with the mud of Yamuna, make a form of Lord Vishnu and worship with flowers and with prayers. And he gave him the mantra. Valmiki was giving them the name Ram. He was given the mantra, Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. And constantly meditate on this mantra. And he taught him a process of completely putting one's whole consciousness not on any material fulfillments of material desires, but total absorption in the name of God and meditating on the form of the Lord. And Dhruva became so completely purified by chanting the names of the Lord and meditating on the Lord. Lord Narayan, by the mercy of Narada Muni, appeared before him and offered, he said, I have come to fulfill any desire you desire. He said, I have no desires. He said, you came to this forest burning with the desire to get the kingdom of your father and your grandfather and something even more. I've come to fulfill that. And by the association of Narada Muni alone, Dhruva replied, I came looking for broken pieces of glass in the form of material acquisition. But I have achieved, by the mercy of my Guru Maharaj, the rarest of all jewels in the form of your darshan. And Dhruva was so transformed, he went back home by the will of the Lord, and he became a great king. And he became the total, most intimate, loving well-wisher of both his brother, his stepbrother, and his stepmother. Another example of Narada Muni's mercy. In Krishna's Leela, when Krishna was just a little child, and he broke the butter pot of Yashoda Mai, and Yashoda Mai tied him to the grinding mortar, And Gopal looked out into the courtyard, and there he saw these two trees. And he remembered, long, long ago, Narada Muni cursed the two sons of Kuvera, Nala Kuvera Manigriva, to become trees. They were living in the heavenly planets with so much wealth and so much knowledge and so much beauty and everything everyone wants in this material world. And they were in a celestial, heavenly lake with beautiful heavenly ladies enjoying together. And then Narada Muni came. And the ladies were very embarrassed. They immediately ran to the shore and put clothes on and offered respects to Narada. But Nala Kuvera and Manigriva, they were standing naked and they couldn't care less about a sadhu walking by. How many wealthy, powerful people in this world, even in India, they don't, why should I bother about all these sadhus walking by? Narada, out of his mercy, out of his compassion, out of his love for the souls of these people, he cursed them. You are happy to be naked? Be a tree. So they became trees. But because now, when Narada Muni curses you to be a tree, you definitely have to be a tree. But it was trees in a courtyard. And they stood there in this courtyard for years and years and years and generations, because trees can live a long time. And they were big trees, Arjuna trees, which really live long lives. And after so many years, decades, centuries, generations, Nanda Maharaj built his palace, Nanda Bhavan in Gokul. And those trees happened to be in the courtyard. Krishna would play. Now, when Narada's curse, it was simultaneously his mercy was very therapeutic. It was painful because they were demigods who could fly anywhere in the universe they wanted. And now they're in bodies of trees, but they still had the same mind, the same consciousness as they had as demigods. But they're trapped in the body of trees. So they definitely learn patience. And they definitely could deeply contemplate on their illusions and their ignorance and their misconceptions. And by the time Krishna came, they were really seeking shelter. So they were fully seeing and hearing the beautiful pastimes of Krishna throughout his leelas in Gokul, and how they were thanking Narada Muni for that. And how dear is Narada Muni to Krishna? Krishna looked out into the courtyard, saw those trees, and immediately remembered his beloved devotee Narada. Long, long ago, Narada cursed these two people to be trees just so that I would give them mercy. By the mercy of Narada Muni, Krishna he crawled between those two trees. The grinding mortar got caught between them. He very lovingly pulled, and the trees fell to the ground. There were such massive trees that lived for so long it created like an earthquake. And from the trees, Nalakuvera Manigriva, in their heavenly forms, emerged. And what did they do with folded palms? Completely detached from any sense of false ego, identifying only with the desire to be a loving servant of the Lord. They surrendered to Krishna, offered beautiful prayers, praised the mercy of Narada. Krishna will never forget that that devotee has prayed for us. Anytime we receive the mercy of a devotee, Krishna, that devotee, will never forget, my devotee has blessed this person. My devotee has prayed for this person. And Krishna, in love for his devotees, will be there at the right time and the right place to deliver that person. And that is the faith we should all have, because that is the truth. Our beloved Guru Maharaj, Srila Prabhupada, I've seen so many times where he prayed and bestowed mercy on someone, and even if those persons fell to the lowest positions, at the time of the greatest need, Krishna was there to lift them up and give them perfection. Through the process of understanding how to, even in that time of the greatest fallen need, Krishna gave them the understanding how they must transform and surrender and take shelter. That is the power of Narada Muni. Krishna never forgets any mercy he bestows upon anyone. And Krishna takes it as responsibility in reciprocation of love. Srila Prabhupada came as a representative in the parampara of Narada Muni. After delivering all these greatest of great souls and so many others, Narada Muni, he preached to Kamsa to speed up the appearance of Krishna. Even Kamsa offered his obeisances to Narada Muni. But when Narada Muni witnessed the beautiful pastime of Krishna and the gopas and the gopis of Vrindavan, he understood that there is no love, there is no devotion that is so inclusive, so absolutely pure and full as the love of, I'm introducing pure speech today, as the love of the gopas and the gopis of Vrindavan. No, Narada Muni is the guru of Vyas, Valmiki, Dhruva, Prahlad, and countless others. But yet, Narada Muni knew that there is no love, there is no devotion that pleases Krishna more than the love of gopis. He didn't want to just be a gopi, he wanted to serve, and he wanted to serve the gopis in the mood of gopis for Krishna's pleasure. So he approached Lord Shiva, his brother. Shiva's Narada's older brother. And Shiva said, Lord Mahadev, you should go to Vrindavan and worship Brinda Devi. So Narada Muni went to Vrindavan and was chanting the holy names. And by the mercy of Lord Shiva, he became so filled with the feelings of aspiration to serve Krishna in Vrindavan that Brinda Devi came to him. And told him, you go to this place. It's now called Narada Kund. It's near Govardhan. And here you chant and meditate on the holy names of Radha and Krishna. And here you meditate on this aspiration. And he did that for some time and became completely absorbed in this mood. And then Brinda Devi returned. And she brought Narada Muni by the hand to Kusum Sarovar. Kusum Sarovar is a very, very holy place in the banks of, at the foot of Sri Govardhan Hill. There is a forest just close to it that we call Pushpavan. We discussed this place last night, actually, where there are so many beautiful trees that bud and blossom with the most fragrant varieties of flowers. And Srimati Radharani and her Sakis, Manjaris, Gopis, they would collect flowers there every day from Pushpavan and then make garlands and bouquets with these flowers and then bring them to offer to Krishna at Sri Radha Kund. Everyone was assisting Sri Radha in making this offering to Krishna. And one day Krishna, he came early while they were still collecting flowers. And he performed one of his tax pastimes. He said, I am the king, Kamadev. This is his forest, and I am his agent. You are stealing flowers from this forest. You must be punished. Exploiting the natural resources. And Srimati Radharani, for Krishna's pleasure, said, who are you talking about doing immoral activities? You killed a woman who came to give you milk from her own body, Putana. How many times did you steal butter from all the gopis? You killed a bull. You danced with other men's wives. And you're telling us that we are immoral because we took flowers? And other gopis became very excited. They said, you killed a calf. And they listed all the wonderful pastimes of Krishna. Therefore, you must be punished. And Krishna was defeated by their love. He said, I accept. What punishment should I be given? And the punishment was you decorate Sri Radha's hair with flowers. So then Krishna collected flowers from Pushpavan. But he wanted to purify the flowers by sprinkling water. He asked gopis, is there water? They said, there's no water in this area. So Krishna went to a nearby forest called Kushumvan. And with his loving flute, he pushed his flute into the ground and made a hole. And that hole grew into a beautiful lake. And the water in Krishna's love in the form of his love for Sri Radha in the form of that lake filled that kund. And beautiful lotus flowers were blossoming through it. And all the wonderful trees of Kusumvan around it were bending over to give shade and dropping flowers and pollen of flowers. And then Krishna looked into this beautiful lake and smiled. And Krishna's smile, which reflected off that lake, completely filled the whole of Braj Bhumi with ecstatic love. And that lake became forever the smiling face of Giriraj. And it is named Kusum Sarovar. Brinda Devi brought Narada Muni to the northwestern side of Kusum Sarovar and told him to take his bath, to chant the holy names of Radha and Krishna, and to be completely absorbed in his aspiration to be a servant of Sri Radha. And he entered into Kusum Sarovar and went under into the water, completely immersed, completely transformed. And when he came out of the water, he had the body of a gopi. His name was Naradi Gopi. And he was transformed not only with the body of a gopi, but with the bhav of a gopi. The ultimate fulfillment and aspiration. And who knows better than Narada Muni about what the highest goal of life is? But this was his conclusion, to be a servant of Sri Radha in her love for Krishna. When he came out of Kusum Sarovar, Brinda Devi was waiting for him. And she took him by the hand and brought him to Sri Radha Kund, where he performed beautiful pastimes in the service of the gopis, in the service of Sri Radha and Govinda. Gopinath then came and took Naradi Gopi, little girl, by the hand and said, "Now you become Narada Muni again. And you spread the glories of Vrindavan throughout the world. And spread the glories of pure unalloyed bhakti as the ultimate culmination of all spiritual realization." So Naradi, she went to the southeastern corner of Kusum Sarovar. He entered the northwestern side with the desire to become gopi in the service of Radha. He went to the southeastern corner on the instruction of Krishna to preach the glories of Vrindavan throughout the world. Naradi Gopi went deep into the water and she came out. Narada Muni Bhajya Radhika Ramana Name, with this beautiful veena. And from there he went to Narada Kund in Naradavan, and he wrote the Narada Bhakti Sutras, glorifying the ultimate path of pure devotional service. And in Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's pastimes, that same Narada Muni, with the same realizations, he came as Srivas Thakur. And Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, after beginning the Sankirtan movement, before distributing the Sankirtan message to the world, for 1 year he performed Kirtan in the house of Srivas, the Srivasangam, with his most loving intimate associates. Nityananda Prabhu, Advaitacharya, Haridas Thakur, Gadadhar Pandit, Pundarik Vidyanidhi, all the Murari Gupta, all these devotees assembled in Srivasa's house. Krishnadas Kaviraj Goswami, Vrindavan Das Thakur, they describe the glories of these kirtans in Srivasangam. The kirtan in Srivasa's home were none different than the Rasa Leela of Vrindavan. Narada Muni is such a great renunciate, but yet in Mahaprabhu's Leela he became a grihasta. He married an equally divine, loving associate of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, Malini Devi. And they had a child. And during the kirtan, that child died. And the ladies were crying, and Srivas left the kirtan to see what happened. And of course, he loved his child as much as any father and more would love a child. This child was Krishna's child entrusted in his care. But still, he said, don't cry loudly, because it will interrupt the happiness that Lord Chaitanya is having with his devotees in kirtan. So he went back into the kirtan, and the kirtan went on and on and on for so many hours. And then Lord Chaitanya stopped the kirtan. He said, I feel some unhappiness in this house. Has anything happened? And he asked Srivas, has anything unhappy happened in this house? And Srivas said, how could there be any unhappiness when you are singing and dancing? And another devotee said, my Lord, his son died. And Lord Chaitanya began to cry. He became so choked up. How could I ever leave a devotee like Srivas? Just for my happiness. He's willing to endure anything. And Lord Chaitanya was thinking at that time that very soon I'm going to take sannyas and I'm going to leave this place. And he was crying, how could I leave a devotee like Srivas? Life and soul. And Srivas Thakur, one of the great members of the Panchatattva, Panchatattvatmakam Krishnam, he represents forever as a devotee of the Lord, a bhakta. Sri Narada Muni. These are some of the beautiful treasures that Srila Prabhupada has given us. The verse that we read from today, Narada was born from the deliberation of Brahma, which is the best part of his body. Vashishta was born from his breathing, Daksha from a thumb, Bhrigu from his touch, and Kratu from his hand. In the first line of Srila Prabhupada's purport, I'll read again. Narada was born from the best deliberation of Brahma, because Narada was able to deliver the Supreme Lord to anyone he liked. So when we're preaching, when we're trying to live exemplary in devotional service, when we're distributing Srila Prabhupada's books, when we're worshiping the deities in such a way to attract the souls of this world toward the beauty, the love, and the sweetness of Radha Gopinath, by Srila Prabhupada's mercy, we are all serving the great mission of Narada Muni. Thank you very much. And I'd like to, before introducing His Holiness Indradyumna Swami Maharaj, Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, in his teachings to Sanatana Goswami, in Sri Chaitanya Charitamrita, Mahaprabhu himself, one of the longest stories Lord Chaitanya taught, he taught the story of Mragari. He was the most cruel, ruthless hunter. He didn't just kill animals, but he wanted even more pleasure while killing. So he would torture them. He would shoot arrows in them in such a way that they were in utter anguish and pain, and very slowly they would suffer and die. And when Narada Muni saw this, he revealed to Mragari what his karmic reactions would be. This is how he preached. And he gave Mragari the holy names of Krishna. And Mragari became such a pure, unalloyed devotee by the mercy of Narada Muni. Lord Chaitanya describes that when Narada came back after some time with Parvat Muni, his friend, Mragari, he came running to greet Narada. He had given up all his sinful activities, all of his false ego, all of his envy. He became so compassionate that he was taking great, great efforts to not even injure a single ant on the path. And Parvat Muni said, "This is the glory of Narada Muni, the most evil hunter who took pleasure in seeing others suffer and die, will not even cause the slightest pain to an insignificant ant." That is Vaishnava. That is the power of Narada Muni. Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu himself is glorifying. And now we have with us today a true empowered representative of Narada Muni and Srila Prabhupada. Narada Muni Bajala Bina Radhika Ramana Nahame. This beautiful song by Bhaktivinoda Thakur describes how Narada Muni, he travels everywhere. Not only throughout the world, but throughout the entire universe. He travels everywhere giving the holy name of Krishna. And His Holiness Indradyumna Swami Maharaj, he travels everywhere distributing the holy name. He has a series of books, Diary of a Traveling Preacher. What can better describe the glories of a servant of Narada Muni? Diary of a Traveling Preacher. And I have, more than anyone in the history of our movement, he performs these beautiful festivals. In Poland, the Woodstock Festival, hundreds and thousands of people chanting, dancing, and receiving Krishna's name, Krishna's prasad, his Polish tours, and he's one of the most prominent, empowered, and beloved Kirtan singers in the history of our movement. Personal association personal associate of Srila Prabhupada himself. He was temple president. He developed temples, projects, communities, author of incredible books. And the largest Kirtan festival in the history of America is all organized, inspired by His Holiness Indradyumna Maharaj. It's called the Sadhu Sangha Retreat. And how many people came last year? 4,000? 4,000 people come to gather in a place from all over America and all over the world, not just for an event like this, but they come for 4 days. And from early morning till late at night, everyone is absorbed in chanting the holy name. I know my class made you all very tired, but please try to wake up and chant very enthusiastically. Every year in Rishikesh, he has Kirtan festival. This year it's for 1 month, and 5 weeks. And I believe in our history, Western people in India, such large crowds who aren't, already devotees, new Western people coming together to hear and chant the glories of the Lord. It's unprecedented. And these are just a few of the wonderful contributions of His Holiness Indradyumna Maharaj. Some of the very senior brahmacharis from here may remember when His Holiness Indradyumna Maharaj and all of us, we went to Bangladesh for a yatra. Together we worshipped those holy places. We went to the birthplace of Jagannath Mishra, the father of Lord Chaitanya, the birthplace of Nilambar Chakravarti, the father of Sachi Devi. We went to the birthplace of Murari Gupta. We were on our way to the birthplace of Advaita Acharya. We went to the birthplace of Narottam Das Thakur, Ketari Gram, the birthplace of Pundarik Vidyanidhi, Vasudev Datta, and Mukunda Datta in Chattagram. We went to Dhaka, where Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Thakur spoke for 1 month on the first verse of Srimad Bhagavatam. We went to the birthplace of Rupa Goswami and Sanatan Goswami. We went to the birthplace of Lokanath Goswami, and other places too. Dainapur, Haridas Thakur, yes, we went to the place where Haridas Thakur delivered that very fallen person. And and I'll never forget it, Narottam Das Thakur's, the temple where he worshipped and installed all those deities. One morning we were there, and the pujari just came with the Shalagram Shila, and that was Narottam Das Thakur's Shila, and gave it to Indradyumna Maharaj. That's just wherever he goes, these miracles happen. And today, another miracle happened. He came here to Radha Gopinath. So let us now very attentively gratefully hear from His Holiness Indradyumna Swami Maharaj.
I'm going to get you back. Okay. Take the seats away. Yes. Prabhu, where is bag? Orange bag? Can you pass it? Hare. Sure, Guruji. It's coming. Jai Radha Madhava Jai Kunja Bihari Gopi Jana Bala Jai Girivara Dari Jai Girivara Dari Gopi Jana Bala Jai Girivara Dari Jai Girivara Dari Yasodhanandana Jai Rajajanarandana Jai Yasodhanandana
Jai Radha Madhava Jai Kunjabi Gopi Dharma Dhamma Jai Girivaradani Jai Girivaradani Gopi Dharma Dhamma Jai Girivaradani Jai Girivaradani Yasuranandana Jai Rajajanarandana Jai Yasuranandana Jai Rajajanarandana Munatira Panachani Jai Ho Kunjabi Adi Jai Kunja Bihari Radhe Yamuna Tira Panachani Jayo Kunjabi Adi Jai Kunja Bihari Radha Madhava Jai Kunja Bihari Radha Madhava Jai Kunja Bihari Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare, Jai. Hebo. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare, Gopinath. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. Jai Shri Ram. Hello. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare, Gopinath. Kirtan, Krishna. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare. Jai Shri Ram, hey! Your prayer. Yeah, bro. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Hare Ram, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Yabo! Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Hare Ram, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hey! Hey! Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Hare Ram, Rama Ram, Hare Hare. Kirtan. Hey! Oh! Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. Bye-bye. Holy name. Hello. Bolo Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Rama, Hare Hare. Kirtan. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Rama, Hare Hare. Oh, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Rama, Hare Hare. Hello! Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram. Wow! Hey, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram, Hare Hare. Dance. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram. Srinam. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram, Hare Hare. Yabo! Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram. Go Prem! Krishna, Hare Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Wow! Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare. Hey! Kirtan! Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Yo! Nitai Gauranga Jai, Nitai Gauranga. Hola Nitai Gauranga Jai, Nitai Gauranga. Hola Nitai Gauranga Jai, Nitai Gauranga. Whoa! Hey Nitai Gauranga Jai, Gaur Hare. Nitai Gauranga Jai, Gaur Hare. Nitai Gauranga Jai, Gaur Hare. Hey! Gaura, Gaura, Gaura Hare. Hey! Gaur, Gaur, Gaur Hare. Gaur, Gaur, Gaur Hare. Nitai Gauranga Jai, Nitai Gauranga. Hola Nitai Gauranga Jai, Nitai Gauranga. Hola Nitai Gauranga Jai, Nitai Gaur. Hey Nitai Gauranga, Gaur Hare. Nitai Gauranga Jai, Gaur Hare. Nitai Gauranga Jai, Gaur Hare. Nitai Gauranga Jai, Gaur Hare. Gaura, Gaura, Gaura Hare. Hey, Gaur, Gaur, Gaur Hare. Nityananda, Nityananda, Nityananda Mam. Hey, Nityananda, Nityananda, Nityananda Ram. Oh, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram. Go! Wow, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Rama, Hare Hare. Krishna Gopinath. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram. Brahmacharis, dance. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Sri Ram. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. Hey! Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. Gauranga! Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. Okay. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. Krishna, Krishna, Hare Ram, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna, Hare Ram, Rama, Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna, Hare Ram, Rama, Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna, Hare Ram, Ram, Hare Hare. Nitai Gaur HariBol, 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 Gaur HariBol. Jai Gaur HariBol, HariBol, Gaur HariBol. Jaya Prabhupada, 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 Jai Prabhupada. Jai Jai Prabhupada, 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 Jai Prabhupada. Gaur Premanandi. Sita Prem, Premanandi. Gaur Nitai Prem, Jai Jai Sri Radhe. Jai Jai Sri Radhe. Jai Jai Sri Radhe. Jai Shishira Gopinath. Kirtan forever. Woo! Chowpatty. think I need my phone. Can I have the book? The book. No. The Bhagavatam. Open to the verse. Dear devotees, I want to thank you all once again for inviting me here to this most famous temple in Chowpatty with, I'm going to say this, well, publicly, the most beautiful deities in our movement. It's not just their beauty, but it's your devotion, your bhav, which brings out the beauty of those deities. So to be able to sit here and have Kirtan in front of them and Srila Prabhupada and all of you is really a great honor. It's a great privilege. And I'm going to say something that's going to make you very jealous. I'm going to say something to make you very jealous, and that is that I believe this is probably Radhanath Swami hasn't given class here in about a month or longer previously before this visit. And you get an hour of his association, maybe 2 hours. I was at GEV, Govardhan Eco Village, and Maharaj invited me on his morning walks. It's a walk through this beautiful forested area, but more than that, with him, always speaking the glories of various holy places that they have established there. I can say it was just like being in Sri Vrindavan Dham. And we know that when you go to a holy place, if you really want to understand a holy place, you have to associate with the holy people who live there. Radhanath Swami Maharaj. And that project, I'm often saying, and I'll say it, he'll probably be a little embarrassed, but that project and all that it entails and what it will be in the future of India and the world, I'm going to say, it's all a manifestation of Radhanath Swami's love for Srila Prabhupada. And as we were coming here today, I was preparing some notes. I'm a scripted devotee. Maharaj always just speaks from the heart. He can just go on and on and on. He doesn't have notes. But I'll tell you a secret. One time he attended a wedding where Maharaj was officiating and he was the speaker. And I saw that on the desk he had made some notes. This was an historic first. In his own handwriting. Just some notes to remember, to speak properly at the Vivaha Yagya, the wedding ceremony. So when the lecture was over, before he noticed, I took the notes. They were about this big. And I put them in my pocket. And I carried them thinking that surely some disciple of Radhanath Swami would love to have those notes, some Grihastra couple, because they were beautifully describing the Grihastra ashram. And I was waiting, and I got to America, and I showed them to Yashoda Dulal Prabhu and his good wife, and I sold them for $10,000. And then Yashoda Dulal and his good wife, they framed those notes, very beautifully, beautiful frame, somewhere in their house. When Maharaj visited there one day, he saw the notes on the wall. He said, "Who stole my notes?" They didn't want to say. And then they said, "Indradyumna Swami, so please forgive me." Radhanath Swami Maharaj ki jai. You're all in good hands. So, when I was coming here, preparing something to say, I came across a beautiful verse. I'd like to share it with you, and it very much reminds me of Radhanath Swami, who's over the years become a very dear friend. And this last visit, a dearmost friend, we say in Old English, a bosom buddy. It's just like 1800s British, a bosom buddy. And sometimes we would walk and we'd hold hands while we were walking. We'd embrace each other. So this is friendship. Hari, Guru, Vaishnava. We need the mercy of the Lord, we need the mercy of our spiritual preceptors, and we need equally the mercy of the devotees. So friendship is so important in Krishna consciousness. In material society, friendship is based on all types of illicit, sinful activities. They like the same drugs, they like the same clothes. So that kind of friendship downwards. But in Krishna consciousness, we share the same interests. Singing, dancing, feasting, philosophical discussions, discussing the goal of life, back home, back to Godhead. So if you have a friend like that, it's all going upwards. So I feel I have a friend like that. And in Maharaj, we don't see that each other that often, but when we do, it's very beautiful. And here's a nice verse, which I feel describes, for most of you, your Guru Maharaj. Chandanam shitalam loke, chandan adapi chandrama, chandra chandan ayor madhye, shitala shadu shangati. In Sanskrit, it's poetry. Translated, it melts the heart. What is the use of a bowman's arrow if it doesn't pierce the heart of his enemy? And what is the use of a poet's words unless it melts the heart of the devotees? So here's some beautiful poetry, and here's the translation. On this planet, the intrinsic nature of sandalwood is that it's very cooling amongst all other coolants. More cooling than sandalwood is the moon, and even more cooling than sandalwood and the moon is the association of a sadhu. This verse comes to my mind when I think of Maharaj. I'm just going to read it one more time because on this planet, the intrinsic nature of sandalwood is that it's very cooling amongst other coolants. More cooling than sandalwood is the moon, and even more cooling than sandalwood and the moon is the association of a sadhu. Hare Krishna. So I've been asked to speak today. Maharaj spoke 23, 24, there's no purport. We'll go to 25, and we'll begin as per our tradition. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. What can I say after hearing Maharaj? I'll try my best. So, this is Srimad Bhagavatam 3:12-25. Dharma sanad dakshinato yatra dhyana swayam. Adharma prishtato yashman mrityur. Loka bhai akshkara. This is a heavy verse. Maharaj had a sweet verse. I got a heavy verse. I see the word mrityur. Krishna is strong like a thunderbolt and sweet like a rose. So he's the rose and I'm the thunderbolt, I guess, today. Religion was manifested from the breast of Brahma, wherein is seated the Supreme Personality of Godhead, Narayana. Irreligion appeared from his back, where horrible death takes place for the living entity. Srila Prabhupada's purport. That religion was manifested from the place where the personality of Godhead is personally situated, is very significant, because religion means devotional service to the Supreme Personality of Godhead, as confirmed in Bhagavad Gita as well as the Bhagavatam. In Bhagavad Gita, the last instruction is to give up all other engagements in the name of religion and take shelter of the personality of Godhead. Srimad Bhagavatam also confirms that the highest perfection of religion is that which leads to the devotional service to the Lord, unmotivated and unhampered by material impediments. Religion, in its perfect form, is the devotional service of the Lord, and irreligion is just the opposite. The heart is the most important part of the body, whereas the back is the most neglected part. When one is attacked by an enemy, one is apt to endure attacks from the back and protect himself carefully from all attacks on the chest. All types of irreligion spring from the back of Brahma, whereas real religion, the devotional service of the Lord, is generated from the chest, the seat of Narayan. Anything which does not lead to the devotional service of the Lord is irreligion, and anything which leads to the devotional service of the Lord is called religion. Om Agyantimadandasya Ganangana Shalakaya Chaksumilitam Jena Tasmai Si Gurave Sri Chaitanyam Manobhistam Stapitam Jena Bhutale Swayam Rupa Dhamam. Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Srivasa Gaur. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Hare. Vanchakalpa turubhyasya kripa sindhube vacha patitanam pavanebhyo Vaishnavya. Like many or all verses of Srimad Bhagavatam, this verse is pregnant with transcendental knowledge. Maharaj was mentioning how we were in Bangladesh together and we went to Dhaka. And he touched on the fact that while there in Dhaka, His Divine Grace, Srila Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Thakur, spoke for 1 month on the first verse of Srimad Bhagavatam. And I was told many, many years ago by one of his disciples, Puri Maharaj, that during that lecture, for 1 month, he never repeated himself twice. It's so interesting. So these verses are full of transcendental knowledge. So we could speak for hours on this, but when I saw the verse, I wanted to just take one line today, dissect the verse. We could also speak, well, not me, but we could speak for days on this one verse, but something caught my eye. Mrityur loka bhaya ankara. One line. That's sufficient. I was listening to a lecture the other day by Srila Prabhupada. It was a lecture in Hawaii on February 5th, 1975. And Prabhupada said, if one takes one of our books, one day he'll read it. He'll think, let me see, what is this book? I purchased it the other day. And if that person reads just one line carefully, his life will be successful. Such is the nature of this transcendental literature. So the line, dharma prashtato yasman mritya loka bhayankara, I found very significant. It's translated as, irreligion appeared from the back of Brahma, where horrible death takes place for the living entity. I kind of cringed, because such words as loka bhayankara, horrible death, may not be so pleasant to hear. There are many subject matters in human society. People avoid the subject matter of death. It's not pleasant to hear. I remember when I was young, as a teenager, I was in church one day with my parents, and the priest was reading from the Bible. And he said this famous statement. He said, you probably don't know, but it's called, the wages of sin are death. Meaning, the more you sin, the quicker you bring death as a reaction upon you. So I stood up from the pew, we call them in English, the benches in the church. I stood up and I said to my parents, this is too scary. I'm going home, because I was a teenager and I was a little naughty. So the wages of sin are death. I didn't want to hear it. But a mature person knows that such language is ultimately not meant to scare us. It's meant to wake us up to our fallen condition. Like Narottam Das Thakur says, here I am in the middle of a Holocaust, trying to enjoy myself. And that realization, you could say, is the first step in the science of Bhakti Yoga. As Confucius said, the longest journey begins with the first step. So the first step is actually to realize that I'm suffering here, and no matter what I do, it doesn't become alleviated. There must be an alternative. That type of thinking is encouraged by Chanaka Pandit in his Niti Shastra. Tyaja durjana samsargam, he writes, bhaja sadhu shamagamam, kuru punya moho ratram, shmara nityam anityatam. It's one of my favorite verses. Renounce the company of evil persons. Associate with saintly persons. Perform pious deeds, both day and night, and always remember the temporary nature of this flickering material world. Also so pregnant with so many valuable instructions. Renounce the company of evil persons, because you take on the qualities of those with whom you associate. Associate with saintly persons. Someone said, oh, it's so crowded in the Chowpatty temple, I'm not going to go. I said, I'm going because it's so crowded. To touch the body of a Vaishnava is the perfection of touch. To see the body of a Vaishnava is the perfection of the eyes. To hear from a Vaishnava is the perfection of the ears. And all these things are here in this beautiful temple room. And outside as well, there's a screen outside, same thing. So, renounce the company of evil-minded persons, associate with the Chowpatty devotees, perform pious deeds day and night, and always remember the temporary nature of this world. Not that we should be scared. We should be scared. One time Prabhupada told my godbrother Kurukshetra, the problem with you is you're not afraid of Maya. He said like this. And one time in Geneva, Prabhupada told us, he started the class, in this world a devotee should have a good eye and a bad eye. And I turned to my godbrother, I said, well, why? I want good eyes. He said, no, just listen. So Prabhupada explained, in this world we should have one good eye and one bad eye. We should see the good opportunities for advancing in Krishna consciousness, and we should be aware, dukkhalayam ashashvatam, the temporary, miserable nature of this world. That's called equilibrium. And such an equipoised person can progress safely out of this world and into the spiritual world. We may prefer to hear about the pleasantries of life and avoid discussion on lokabhayankara, horrible death. But in doing so, ignoring the difficulties and always trying to avoid them, want to talk about, Mommy, don't talk about death. We ignore some of the important lessons. There's a strong lesson in that theme in the Mahabharata, a famous verse by Maharaj Yudhishthira. Ahanyahani bhutani gacchantila yamalayam sheshashta bharam ichanti kimmaschaya mahatam. Every day, hundreds and millions of living entities are going to the kingdom of death. But those who are remaining think they will live forever. He says, what could be more amazing than that? So this line, Shesha Varam Ichanti, Shesha Shta Varam Ichanti, it means people are thinking that they'll go on living forever. How do we know that? Because they're not making any plans for death. We're always thinking of the future. In fact, we think more of the future than the past or the present because we're making so many plans. We're always making plans for the future. You know where you're going after this event is over. You know what you're going to do when you get to work tomorrow. Sorry. You know where you're going to take your next vacation. You know where you're going to retire. We're always planning for the future. But who's planning for death? Only transcendentalists are planning for death. They're planning to transcend death. Much of their life is around death. Actually, you could say that death is the most important moment in our lives. Oh, come on, Swami. Death is the most important moment in our lives. Can anyone make sense of that statement? Death is the most important moment in our lives. Yam yam vapi smaram bhavam tiyachate antikalevaram. Yes, because whatever you think about at the moment of death, Krishna says, that will determine your next destination. So think, yam yam vapi smaram bhavam tiyachate antikalevaram. So what will you think about at the moment of death? Oh Maharaj, I'll start thinking about that when I'm old. But Prahlad Maharaj told his friends, because that was their argument, Prahlad, you're preaching Krishna consciousness. So we're children, we want to play. So we'll get serious about Krishna consciousness, yes, when we're old. So Prahlad Maharaj, as Maharaj mentioned, is one of the 12 Mahajans, one of the great authorities in the science of Krishna consciousness. He said, old age means just before you die. But don't young children die? Don't teenagers die? Don't middle-aged people die? Yes. So you could be old right now. And because he was Mahajan, an empowered devotee of the Lord, all those 5-year-old demons got on top of their desks and started dancing. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare. So, Sheshashta Vararam Ichanti means people think they'll live forever. That's another way of saying that they can cheat death or they can stop death. If I'm going to live forever, I have to cheat Yamaraj. If I'm not going to die, I have to stop death. So foolish people are thinking like this. And in this regard, there's that famous story of the ride to Ahmedabad. There was once a wealthy person, and he sent his servant to the market to buy some supplies in the early morning. So when the servant got to the market, he was shopping and he looked around, but in the corner of the market, he saw Yamaraj. And he's thinking, uh-oh, Yamaraj has come for me. So he ran as swiftly as the wind, as fast as the wind, he ran back to his master's home, and he said, Master, Yamaraj, he came for me today in the marketplace. So the master became very angry.
Darshan. Darshan, this is the Narayan. This is Darshan of me. This is the real one. Yes.
This is Anil Agarwal, very famous personality, a good friend of mine, very charitable to the International Society for Krishna Consciousness. He loves Radhanath Swami for many years. He's helping initiate a devotee. Please give him a big round of applause. Suffered a great tragedy, and he's come to Bharat, he's come to see his friends and well-wishers and see the Supreme Personality of Godhead, Radha Gopinath. So it's a difficult time for him, so please keep him in your prayers and keep strong and keep going back home.
Amazing what your body can do. And your Maharaj is very special whenever we have program. I'll tell you one incident, but it was nobody there around the palace in England. Around the palace in England and the Mayfair to do the Harinam. So Maharaj says, let's go. And I say, Maharaj says, all sophisticated people, lords, and all these senators are around, all the big people. He said, let's go. Let's go. And we started. We had a so amazing, never ever happened from the Hyde Park to the main street to the palace. We taken the Barclay Square. People were on the side like this, and everybody was, English people were holding their hand. The window was open, everybody was looking at Maharaj. Maharaj personality is amazing personality, and everybody was looking at him. And this was my probably second meeting with him. We need in ISKCON courageous people like you.
This is a very prestigious part of London with the most wealthy and influential people live, all the governors and their wives and the wealthy people. And, Anil lives in that area, but he was a little shy before to go out. But he's the one that said, let's go on Harinam, not me. So I was singing, but he led the charge. He was right out front waving to all the senators and the prime minister and this, and he's waving, and they're all going, oh, Mr. Agarwal's a Hare Krishna. And he said, yes, I am. So you were the general that day.
Maharaj is doing the biggest theatre show ever happened in London. It's a Broadway show. And you cannot believe that it is people who understand Hare Krishna, they will understand. But it is a show of art, the kind of caliber the Broadway star and the actress, they can't do it. And we have opened one of the best hall. And Maharaj says, let's do it. We were a little bit nervous, very English society right on the Thames River. And we are opening it, and he showed me some of the clips. And I have a feeling this will be the huge door will open for the Western world, that this is the kind of theater we can project. Maharaj, thank you very much.
This is a great Srimad Bhagavatam class.
Maharaj's Kirtan is amazing. I'll sing one line. Radhe Radhe Govinda Radhe 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 Govinda Radhe 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 Govinda Radhe 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 Govinda Radhe HariBol Radhe Govinda Radhe Govinda Radhe Radhe Govinda Radhe 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 Govinda Radhe 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 Govinda Radhe 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 Govinda Radhe Radhe Govinda Louder Radhe Govinda Radhe Radhe Govinda Radhe 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 Govinda Radhe Jaya Radha Gopinath Radha Gopinath Radhe Jaya Radha Gopinath Radha Gopinath Radhe Jaya Radhe Jaya Radhe Jaya Radhe Jaya Shri Radhe Jaya Radhe 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 HariBol 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 Gita Gana HariBol 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 Jaya Prabhupada 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 Srila Prabhupada HariBol. Thank you, Maharaj.
Hare Krishna. This is a new standard. Kirtan before the class, kirtan in the middle of the class, and kirtan at the end of the class. I can't remember where I was. Hare Krishna. Oh, the road to Ahmedabad, yes. So the master sent the servant. We're talking about people trying to cheat death or avoid death. And so this homeowner sent a servant, and the servant saw Yamaraj in the corner of the market, and he ran back. My master, I saw Yamaraj. He's come for you? Yes, I think he's come for me. All right, you get on this horse, and you ride like the wind to Ahmedabad. Probably this is a Gujarati story, I don't know. So his servant, in order to avoid Yamaraj, got on that horse and started galloping all the way to Ahmedabad. And the master of the house, he was angry with Yamaraj that Yamaraj was going to take his servant. So he went to the market. And he's wandering around and he's looking and he sees Yamaraj in the corner. And he approached him. How many of you would approach Yamaraj if you saw him? And he chastised Yamaraj. He said, Yamaraj, the servant's very dear to me. I need him. He's been working many years. And, you came to take him. This is not good. So Yamaraj took out his little black book and he said, what's your servant's name? He gave the name. Gopal. Das. And he said, Gopal Das? No. I don't have an appointment with Gopal Das this morning in the market. I have an appointment with him on the road to Ahmedabad this afternoon. Did you catch that? Okay. So this story illustrates that we can't cheat death. Describe this horrible death here. And then there's the story of a potter who was quite famous in his pottery business. And he was curious about when he would leave this world. So he went to an astrologer. And the astrologer said, do you really want to know when you're going to leave this world? And he said, yes. Generally astrologers, although they can see, they'll never tell us that time of departure. That's just one of the golden rules in astrology. That astrologer will see your departure time, but he'll never tell you. It's not the etiquette. But this potter insisted. So the astrologer said, well, 6 months from now, in this week, on that day, and this hour, Yamaraj is coming for you. So the potter thought, well, I'll cheat horrible death. So he went back, and during those 6 months, he sculpted 9 dioramas of himself. But he was such an expert sculptor and potter, of course, that you couldn't tell the difference between these different 9 forms. One was like this, the other was like that, one was like this, one was like that. How many more poses do I have to do? And so that the time came that astrologer had predicted 6 months later. So on that morning, in his workplace, he positioned these different forms there, and then he stood as one himself. And everything was identical. It was so good. So suddenly, Maharaj did it better. Yamaraj arrived on his donkeys. He has a donkey's ass, not horses, but donkeys on his chariot. He arrived, and he had this, the potter, today he has to come in 60 seconds, but he's looking around. Which one is the potter? He got confused. Which one's the potter? This one, that one? And time is passing by. And unless he took him on time, he couldn't take him. But we must understand that as Prahlad Maharaj is one of the Mahajans, so is Yamaraj. So you can't fool these Yamarajas. You can't fool the Mahajans. So Yamaraj, he's looking and he said, okay, enough of this. He's looking around and he said, so whoever sculpted these figures is really a lousy artist. I mean, look at the imperfections. The nose on that one's a little crooked. The skin color on that one is not very good. And there's no eyelashes on that one. And he's going on. And this is the worst. This is just distasteful artwork. And it got to the ego of the potter. He said, what do you mean? So Yamaraj said, come on. What about in more modern history? Walt Disney. This is a true story. Those were like folklore stories. But in the 50s, Walt Disney, the creator of Disneyland, he learned he had cancer. And in those days, that was kind of like a death knell. There was no real treatment, like we have some treatments today. So he was thinking that probably in the future they'll find a cure for this cancer. So I will have the doctors put me in suspended animation by freezing my body, not to the point of death, but just so that the cancer cells don't grow. At least this is what he was thinking. And they actually did it. They froze, but made his body to a very cold temperature, so just the soul was just existing barely, and they put him in like a tube type place and kept the temperature very, very cool, and he was unconscious, but he was thinking beforehand, they'll find a cure, they'll pull me out, and they'll cure me. Unfortunately, 4 years later, there was a blackout in the town, Los Angeles. All the electricity stopped, and that thing thawed out, and nobody thought to go get him, and he died in there. So this is another modern example how we can't cheat death. And actually, there's a Bengali proverb, Gaye mukle yame charina. Gaye mukle yame charina. Prabhupada had so many short quotes like that, many of them, or most of them in Bengali, because Prabhupada appeared in Calcutta. And that says, even if I smeared stool on my body to avoid punishment for my sins, Yamaraj would not release me. And ultimately, this horrible death, which we're scared to hear about, ultimately it's not possible to stop death because Krishna says, Mrityu sarvaharashchaham. Those of you who are scholars, Krishna says, I am all devouring death. So these are a little difficult to hear about, but wise words from the Guru, Shastra, and Sadhu to kickstart us. Because Krishna says there's 4 types of persons who approach him. The person in knowledge, the person who's curious, the person looking for something from material facility from the Lord, and there's the person who's in distress. That's why Krishna tells Yudhishthira in the 11th canto of Bhagavatam, my first mercy upon my devotee is I take everything away from him, so he has no other recourse than to take full shelter. So sometimes the hardest lessons are the ones best learned. Just like Kunti Devi, we all know from reading Bhagavatam and hearing our Bhagavatam speakers what she had to go through. But what was her mentality? She took it as a stepping stone into transcendence. She said, Krishna, let these calamities come again and again, because as a result of these calamities, I have to think of your lotus feet. And by thinking of your lotus feet, I no longer have to see the repetition of birth and death. So when hardships come, we don't run away. We embrace them, because the hardest lessons are the ones best learned. So when we hear these verses, we don't get too scared. Materialistic people who have no alternative, they get afraid, but not us. And not only our acharyas and our saints in our tradition, but other people have seen this reality of material life. historic persons have seen. And we could even take their advice, even though they may not be devotees, in certain cases. Janaka Pandit says, Vishad apyam ritam grayam, amed yad api kanchanam. Kanchanam means gold. Dichat apyuta mamgyanam, stri ratnam dud kularapi. One should accept nectar even from poison, and gold from a filthy place. One should accept knowledge even from a low-born person, and a good wife if she comes from a low family. So, Amed Yad Api Kanchanam means to take gold from a filthy place. It means if someone's, a low-born person, but he has some realization. This material world's not a very nice place. I've experienced it. Is there some alternative? I'm looking for spiritual life. Then, if that person has some gleam of knowledge, we can listen to him. Just like I was reading the other day, the history of Alexander the Great. Why? Because, he came to India, and I wanted to hear what he did in India. He came here and he turned around and went back, actually. He was conquering the known world at that time. But on the way back, as he was returning to Greece, on the way, he fell ill, Alexander the Great, somewhere near Syria, I think. And he was lying on his deathbed. And he gave instructions on Lokabhayankara, horrible deaths. At one point, he called all his generals. He had many, I think he had 13 generals. And he told them, I understand I'm going to leave this world soon, and I have 3 wishes, and I hope that you will carry them out for me. So these 13 generals were around his bed, and tears were flowing from their cheeks, and they agreed to abide by their king's wishes. So Alexander gave some important instructions that even we can benefit from. He said, my first wish is that only my doctors will carry my coffin to the grave. This is number 1. They were like, what? Yes, only my doctors can carry my coffin to my grave. My second wish is that when my coffin is being carried to the grave, the path leading to the graveyard should be strewn with all the gold and silver and rubies and precious stones which I have collected throughout my life in war. It's in my treasury. And my third wish is that both my hands will be kept dangling outside my coffin. Really? So Alexander's favorite general then, as was the etiquette, kissed his hand and pressed his hand to his chest, and he said, O king, we assure you these 3 wishes will be fulfilled. But tell us, why are you making such strange wishes? So as Alexander took a deep breath, he replied, my first wish is that only my doctors will carry my coffin to the graveyard. I want my doctors to carry my coffin because people should realize that ultimately even doctors are powerless to save a person from the clutches of death. And Prabhupada remarked on this one time, this very point. He said he had a friend, I forget the friend's name. He said, but his friend was on the verge of death and he was very wealthy, so he told the doctor, you cure me so I don't have to die. I can give you any amount of money that you want. Crores and crores of rupees. The doctor said, I'm not capable of doing that. Just like Brahma told Hiranyakashipu, you want all these benedictions of immortality? But I can't give them because I'm mortal. So in a similar way, Alexander is saying that my doctors are there, but just try to understand. They're powerless to save a person from the clutches of death. So then he said, therefore people should not take life for granted. And the second wish of putting all the gold, the silver, the riches on the way to the graveyard, he said, is to inform people that not even a fraction of gold will come with me when I leave this body. Let people realize that it's useless, it's a waste of time to make the goal of life simply acquiring riches. Because you come into this world naked and you leave naked. You can't take anything with you. And then the third wish, which was quite interesting, he wanted his pallbearers to make sure his hands were draped outside the coffin. He said, I want people to know that I came empty-handed into the world and I will go empty-handed out of this world. And with these words, he closed his eyes and left this world. So more instructions on lokabhayanakara, horrifying death. Now all these words of Krishna, we quoted him, I'm all devouring death. Chanakya Pandit, 2 verses, Yudhishthir, Hanyahani, got into a famous verse, and Alexander the Great. They make us sober, and they help us wake up to the reality of life. So we could conclude there would be kind of a sad class. But everything in Krishna consciousness has a very beautiful ending. And the good news this morning is that devotees who are really serious about Krishna consciousness, they're not afraid of death. It's just another chapter in our existence, and this chapter has been so nice. One time, one of my godbrothers had the audacity to say to Srila Prabhupada, he gave an interesting answer. He said to Prabhupada, Prabhupada, what if it's not all true? What we're doing is not really true? The way we're living and the goal? Prabhupada said, kind of in a joking way, he said, well, even if it's not so true, it's the most wonderful way of life, and I would like to live this life. It's not a complete answer. So for us, there's always light at the end of the tunnel. Just like Maharaj Parikshit, he's a good example for us. Many classes we've given on that part of the Bhagavatam. He said, on the verge of death, he said to the Brahmanas, "O Brahmanas, just accept me as a completely surrendered soul and let Mother Ganges, the representative of the Lord, also accept me in that way, for I have already taken the lotus feet of the Lord into my heart. Let that snake bird, or whatever magical thing the Brahman created, bite me at once. I only desire that all of you continue singing the deeds of Lord Vishnu." This is how we should meet death. Because for us, death means what? Hey, back home, back to Godhead. Come on. Just like one time in his room at Sevenbury Place, Srila Prabhupada, many of you know I carried his suitcase up the stairs. There were 4 cases in Bury Place. And I was dragging the suitcase of Prabhupada into his room and backwards. And Nanda Kumar, Prabhupada's servant, he was there and he said, "Stop! You're going to bump into Srila Prabhupada." So I turned around and Prabhupada was standing right in front of me, and his gamsha, a pink and white gamsha, was shining like the sun. And he just finished his massage and he smelled like sandalwood. And he had a serious look on his face. So I bowed down, and then suddenly, he slapped me on the back, right here. And I thought if I ever get a tattoo, I'd have the hand there. But I feel it every day of my life. And then he said something, and then he walked away. And I thought I'd been chastised, so I remained down for a while. Then I stood up, and then Nandu Kumar was standing there with like this, his mouth open. And I stood up, I said, "Oh." He said, "Wow, I never saw Srila Prabhupada do that before. He slapped you really hard in the back." I said, "Yeah, I know." And I said, "But am I in trouble? What did Prabhupada say?" He said, "No, to the contrary. He said something very beautiful to you. He said, so appreciating my efforts. He said, so much endeavor, Indradyumna, so much endeavor in this material world. But when I take you home back to Godhead, everything will be easy and sublime. So we can understand that when the spiritual master says one thing to a disciple, it's generally meant for all the disciples, because these are universal truths. So although we're endeavoring here and tolerating birth, disease, old age, and finally death, we can transcend it. So we're not afraid of this horrible, the verse is actually horrible death. I was looking at I've got this verse today, oh my God. And when death approached Dhruva Maharaj, he was so fearless, and he was such a great devotee that death bowed down to him. And what did Dhruva do? He stepped on the head of death to get in the flower airplane to go back to Godhead. So we're properly situated. It's only a question of time if we stick to the process. Prabhupada used to like that story. Rajaputra Chiranjiva, Majiva Muni Putraka, Jiva Vamora Shadhur, Majiva Mara Ati. I think Prabhupada, I heard him say it once in Geneva, and I heard him say it again in Mayapur in one of the Mayapur festival classes. He said a sadhu was walking near a forest when he met a prince, and the prince asked for blessings. So the sadhu said, Rajaputra Chiranjiv, my dear prince, may you live forever. Why? Because the prince had that way of life because of good karma. Once the good karma was up, finished, it goes back to whatever. So he said, live as long as you can. Because once your good karma is over, that's it. He gave that, live as long as you can, because it's not going to be so nice in the long run. Then he met a brahmachari and he blessed him, saying, Majiva Muni Putraka, my dear devotee, may you die immediately. What? Because the brahmachari, have that water. Or Tamashi, mine. Just open up. Yeah. So, he said to the brahmachari, Majiva Muni Putraka, die immediately. What kind of blessing is that? Because the brahmachari's whole life, he'd been practicing all the rules, all the regulations, chanting, da da da. So finish, go home. That was the blessing. Then he met a saintly person, and he said, Jiva Mora Shodhur. It doesn't matter, live or die, your life's successful. If you live, you're performing devotional service, and if you die, you perform devotional service. So either way, Jiva Mora Sadhur. Then finally he met the hunter, and he blessed him, saying, Majiva Mara Iti, don't live or die. Because if you live, you're committing sinful activities, and if you die, you're going to have to suffer them. So neither live nor die. So we don't have any fear, because we're in that category of a devotee performing devotional service. Our life's already blissful. Ananda Bhuri Bharavana. It'll become more blissful. The future is very bright if we continue practicing Krishna consciousness. We don't have to be afraid, Loka Bhayankara, of horrible death. Prabhupada used to quote this, another Bengali proverb, Bhajankara Sadanakara Muti Janiloi. Whatever bhajan and sadhan one has performed throughout life will be tested at the moment of death. Whatever bhajan and sadhan one has performed throughout his life, tested. So for one of those devotees, when we're chanting japa and we have our phone here, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna. Oh, the war in Syria. Hare Ram, Hare Ram. Oh, they're fighting in America. Hare Krishna. But if we chant Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Hare Ram Ram, Hare Hare. Okay. One of my godbrothers, Pusta Krishna, he was Maharaj for most of his life. He was Prabhupada's secretary. He told me in confidence one time, he was chanting japa with Prabhupada. And he was chanting, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram. Prabhupada said, what kind of nonsense are you chanting? And Prabhupada, I'm chanting the Maha Mantra. No, you're not. It's not the Ram, it's Rama, Rama, Rama. The goddess of fortune, or Lord Ram, of felicity and bliss. Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Yeah, that's better. It's like a prescription. If you have a infection and the doctor gives you some antibiotics, he says take 3 a day for 6 days. So you take 3 a day for 4 days, you feel better, isn't it? Sometimes you feel, I don't need these anymore, and you put them aside and the infection comes back. So you have to follow the prescribed rules and regulations. It's a good term. Prabhupada said the prescribed rules and regulations. 4 regulative principles and 16 rounds. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. And that way would be a good time to leave, isn't it? When you're fully into your japa. Just like my godbrother Jayananda Prabhu. He's very famous. His picture's there on every Ratha Yatra card during Ratha Yatras all over the world. He had leukemia, and he was passing away at the Los Angeles temple. And the day he departed, devotees had come to his room. It was before Mangal Artik, and they were having Kirtan, and then everyone left, but a tape of Prabhupada having Kirtan was playing. And when they came back from the Mangal Artik, Jayananda had departed. He was alone. Just the tape of Prabhupada chanting Hare Krishna. So Prabhupada, appreciating the amazing service, he said Jayananda is our first saint in ISKCON. He wrote him a posthumous letter. And in the letter he thanked him for his years of devotional service. You were the first person to come forward and give me a big donation, $25,000, your life savings, for printing my Nectar of Devotion. And you started the Ratha Yatra. So he said, my dear Jayananda, if you had any amount of material desires, then you've gone to Svargaloka. And there you can fulfill those desires and continue to progress on the path of devotional service and go back to Vaikuntha. He said, but because of the time of death, you were hearing the Hare Krishna Maha Mantra. I say you've gone to Krishna Loka. So, actually Yogesh Chandra told me, my friend, that he was speaking with Jayananda a week before he left, and Jayananda was a very humble devotee. He said to Yogesh, I don't know, I still have some desires in my heart, material desires. I don't know if I'm going to make it. But just see the mercy of the Guru. There's Krishna Kripa and there's Guru Kripa. Prabhupada was so pleased with his devotional service. He said, I think you've gone to Krishna Loka. But it's important what we will think, and we'll think what we practice. Bhajan kari sharan kara muti jhanai hoy. Whatever bhajan and sadhan one has performed throughout his life will be tested at the moment of death. So we should chant Hare Krishna every day. We should think, I'm going to chant my rounds better today than the rounds I chanted yesterday. And if you have that mentality, you'll move forward. And hopefully we can leave at such an opportune moment, just like King Kulashekar. My dear Lord Krishna, I pray that the swan of my mind may immediately sink down to the stems of the lotus feet of your Lordship and be locked up in their network. Otherwise, at the time of my final breath, the horrible death, when my throat is choked up with cough, how will it be possible to think of you? Oh, what if I can't think of Krishna when I die? How many times do I actually think of Krishna during the day? Part of my japa, when I'm doing puja, when I'm taking prasada. So what if death comes unexpectedly? What will happen? Well, Sri Ramanujacharya from the Sri Sampradaya, he actually, for our benefit, he asked that question to Ranganath. You know, in Sri Rangam, there's the big deity of Ranganath lying down, 3 altars. He's such a big deity. There's his head, his torso, and his feet. So when you take darshan, you go 1, 2, 3. And at the end, Lakshmi Devi's massaging his feet. Ranganath. So Ramanujacharya, he spoke to Ranganath. Like Prabhupada said at the installation of the small Radha and Krishna in Los Angeles in 1972 or 3, I can't remember. He told the devotees at that installation that if you see these deities like brass, they'll remain brass to you forever. But if you follow all the rules and regulations of deity worship as I've given them to you, one day these deities will speak to you. And they were new deities from Loy Bazaar, and they were being installed. Probably if you follow, then one day these deities will speak to you. And we saw that young Brahmin boy when he went to Vrindavan to ask Shakshi Gopal if he'd come to Orissa to stand as a witness for him. He was asking the Lord, and he said to the Lord, "You are not a Staxi, you are directly the son of Maharaj Nanda." And the Lord said he would come. He said, "I will follow you." So the boy said, "How will you follow me? You're a deity." And the Lord said, "Young boy, if I can talk, I can walk." So they went together like that. So it may be that one day deity, Prabhupada said, it's possible the deity can speak to you. My dear Lord, you're not a statue. So Ranganath, Ramanujacharya went to him and said, "Lord," he posed this question for all future Vaishnavas. "Lord, if your devotee cannot remember you at the moment of death, what happens? Yam yam vapi smaram bhavan, we're the whole life. But if we fall from a roof or there's an accident and we're not thinking, what will happen?" And Ranganath gave the most beautiful answer. He said, "If my devotee could not remember me at the moment of death, I will remember my devotee." So we're not afraid, like Dhruva, come on. Because every chapter of Krishna consciousness, at least my experience, it just gets better. And Bhaktivinoda Thakur, he put it in very beautiful words, on the Samadhi Mandir of Haridas Thakur. This is where this shloka comes from. It's on the Samadhi Mandir of Haridas Thakur. He reasons ill who says that Vaishnavas die when thou art living in sound. A Vaishnav dies to live, and while living spreads the holy name around. We die to live, and what will that life be? Spreading the holy names around. Once in France, one of my godbrothers, I won't mention his name, he was a new devotee at the time. We were sitting, and Prabhupada asked for questions, and my godbrother said, "Swamiji, where are you going to go when you die?" I said, "You can't ask that question to Prabhupada." "No, I can't. Where are you going when you die?" Stop. So Prabhupada said, Oh, when I die, I plan to go to Patala Loka and continue spreading the Sankirtan movement of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. So for a Vaishnava, it doesn't matter heaven or hell, because we're always in heaven, we're always in Goloka. Because wherever there's Krishna, There's his associates, there's the mellows of devotional service, there's all the paraphernalia. Bhaktivinoda Thakur writes that in the chanting of Hare Krishna mantra, all of Vrindavan is there. Here, I saw it, Sadhatoshini. He writes, in the Maha Mantra, because we always say when you chant Hare Krishna, Krishna's dancing on the tip of your tongue. But there, Bhaktivinoda Thakur said, all of Krishna's pastimes are present in the Maha Mantra. So wherever you're chanting, that's Vaikuntha. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Bhagavatam, 6th canto, 17th chapter, verse 28. Narayana parasarve, nakutashtara vidyati, svarga pavarga naraksu, up to yarta darshina. Devotees solely engaged in the devotional service of the Supreme Personality of Godhead, Narayan, never fear any condition of life. For them, the heavenly planets, liberation, and hellish planets, see, Prabhupada, all are the same. For such devotees are only interested in service to the Lord. So either way, let us be serious. Beginning with this world, we have to give up our fascination. One time Prabhupada said, I've been everywhere and I've seen everything. So a devotee said, what's your advice? Prabhupada said, take sannyas. Take sannyas. So we don't want to get distracted. There's so many things happening in the world, and we have to be very careful not to get involved. Even from a distance, even through the internet, even through our phones. On one morning walk on February 21st, 1975 in Caracas, Venezuela. Venezuela's in the news. I heard Venezuela's in this. Prabhupada spoke very valuable words for devotees then and for us now. In these difficult times of the world where our attention can be drawn away from devotional service to these, incredible things that are happening all over the world now. He said to the devotees, instead of contemplating what will happen to this world, you've got a short duration of life, say 50 or 60 years. You chant Hare Krishna and go back home, back to Godhead. Don't consider what will happen in this world. Nature will take care of it. You don't puzzle your brain with these thoughts. You utilize whatever time you have got in your possession and go back home, back to Godhead. You cannot check it. People will go on with this rascal civilization. Natural consequences will be there. You better take advantage of what you have got and become fully Krishna conscious and go back home, back to Godhead. Hare Krishna. So we don't care what Trump is doing. Oh, wait a minute. President Trump, we don't care what he's doing. We're more inclined to what Narendra Modi is doing and making this country Krishna conscious again. So, but generally, Jai Hind! Jai Sri Ram! Jai Hind! Not even Jai Hind. Jai Goloka Vrindavan Dham Ki! So let us always be conscious that of He who is delivering us from this world to that world, our beloved Srila Prabhupada. I read last night a very beautiful prayer by Sridhar Swami in his purport to Srimad Bhagavatam 10:87-33. It just reminds me of Prabhupada. He writes, O transcendently blissful Guru, when my mind finally achieves a place at your lotus feet, all the tiresome labor of my spiritual practices will be finished, and by your mercy, I will experience great happiness. Sridhar Swami Ki Jai. O transcendentally blissful Guru, when my mind finally achieves a place at your lotus feet, all the tiresome labor of my spiritual practices will be finished, and by your mercy, I will experience the greatest happiness. Srila Prabhupada Ki. And what will be that happiness? by incredible mercy, we'll actually find ourselves not in Vaikuntha, that's the official kingdom of God. We'll find ourselves on the playground of God, Sri Vrindavan Dham. That's our prayer, that's our hope. One of my favorite prayers of all time by Srila Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur, he writes in his Shri Nikunjakeli Virudhvali, text 67, and this is my final quote, and you can take prasadam. You can repeat after me. O all auspicious Krishna, may you be victorious. You perform all kinds of sweet pastimes. Let my name also be there when you count Sri Radha's associates. That is my prayer. Although I am covered by material consciousness, I can still aspire for this. O Lord, let that prayer be fulfilled. Vrindavaneshwari Shrimati Radharani ki, Shri Radha Gopinath ki, Shri Goloka Vrindavan Dham ki, Prem God Harinam Shtan Kirtan Yagya ki, Jai Gaur Premanande, Jai Jai Shri Radha. You say it very well here. Krishna. So I'd like to introduce you to something. Oh no, Maharaj. Oh, me. Oh, okay. Oh. Usually when a sannyasi travels somewhere, Shastra says if he visits Grihastra's home or a community, he can ask for anything he wants. Ready? Gentlemen, get your checkbooks out. No, just kidding. Jesus said it's better to give than it is to receive. So I'd like to leave you with something very valuable. Many of you know that during the COVID calamity, I was giving classes regularly, actually 3 times a week, now once every Friday, on the glories of Sri Vrindavan Dham. I had been traveling for 52 years around the world, and suddenly I'm in Vrindavan, COVID comes and Radharani slams the door, and I'm in my apartment, I can't go anywhere, what am I going to do? There's a big library, I'll start reading. And I thought that I would share with the greater Vaishnava community the glories of Vrindavan, because again, that's our goal, to go back home, back to Godhead means Goloka Vrindavan. So I spent hours and hours and days and weeks, years just going through Prabhupada's books and the books of our 6 Goswamis and various Vaishnava poets, and I began to speak on anything and everything I could find about Braj. We're up to 862 lectures now, just about Vrindavan. And Shiva Maharaj told me there's 60 billion holy places in Vrindavan, so it's probably going to take a few births to get through it all. But my disciples, as many of you know, they transcribed those lectures and put them into book form. We've passed through here before. We had a book on Govardhan. We had the glories of the Vrindavan forest, western side and eastern side. And we had, those were 3 books. And we've just come out with a new one. I think it's everyone's most favorite. It's called Sri Radha and Her 8 Companions. I worked particularly hard on this one because Radharani's Veda Gupta, she's hidden in the Vedas for a reason, because she's such an exalted person and her love for Krishna is very deep and very confidential. It takes time to understand the transcendental nature of these pastimes. But I hope I presented it in a very palatable form by Srila Prabhupada's blessings. And of course, Radharani is always associated with the Astasakis, Tunga Vidya, Tritileka Indu, etc. So That's the main subject of the book, is the Astasakis. When we go to Vrindavan, we see Radha Madhava on the altar, and the 4 girls on the left, the 4 girls on the right. We don't want to just look at them, we want to know what are their glories and how to pray to them. So in this book, there's many chapters. Well, most of the chapters are about the Astasakis, and my disciples have painted very beautiful descriptions here of the Astasakis. Who they are, what is their mood, how they dress, what is their service, etc., etc. This is Vishakasaki here, these descriptions. So we need to hear these things. Here's the book about Govardhan Hill, 21 lectures on Govardhan Hill. Here's the Sacred Forest of Vrindavan, the Western Bank. In other words, if you can't go to Vrindavan, you can just use this as a parikrama guide in your own home. And if you go to Vrindavan, all the holy places, as many as I could find from my godbrothers like Dinabandhu, my parikrama guru, Bhakti Chaitanya, and other devotees, I often quote their lectures here, but it's all described here, various holy places. Well researched, documented, and printed in a first-class form. So the Sacred Forest of Vrindavan on the Western Bank, the Sacred Forest of Vrindavan, the holy places on the Eastern Bank, Govardhan Hill, and Govardhan Hill in Hindi. And then this year, Sri Radha and her 8 companions. So I'm going to leave these here. Actually, we were going to charge $2,500 for a book, but someone told me it probably won't sell. So we reduced it to 2,500 rupees. Right? And if someone takes one of these books here, then you get one of these free. Maharaj did a little plug for me. Thanks, Maharaj. Adventures of a Traveling Monk, a memoir with an introduction by J. Steady, and a little blurb by Radhanath Swami. Well, I can't actually read this. Anyway, you can read it when you get it. He says something nice about me here. And yeah, this is, the real adventures are traveling and sharing Krishna consciousness with others, because you see the Gaur Shakti, you see the internal energy of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu working and touching people's hearts and helping them begin up on the path of devotional service. So it's all recorded here with references to Bhagavad Gita, etc. Many dangers there. We got through it all by Lord Nrsingadev's mercy, but 15 volumes of my Diary of a Traveling Preacher, the best stories here in the Adventures of a Traveling Monk. So if you take one of these, I sound like a businessman, you get one of these, you get this one free. Okay? And we're having a competition, which temple in India takes the most. Where were we at last night? Where were we? Kalka, yeah. We did about 60 or 70 books there, so it's a challenge. Yeah. Anyway, where are the books? They're in the back, and I have a pen, and I'm going to sit here, and if you take a book, I would be very happy to give a signature. This is the page for signatures. Big signature across. Okay. So learn about Vrindavan, study about Vrindavan, because Eke Kurunandana, you're supposed to keep your mind fixed on the goal, but if you don't know what the goal is, how are you going to keep your mind fixed? So Vrindavan is in these books, and when you go to Vrindavan, you take them with you, you've got a good guide. Thank you very much. All glories to Srila Prabhupada. Shri Shri Radha Gopinath Ki Gopimanande.
Take books. Krishna, take books.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. Just 2 minutes before Maharaj starts signing the books and giving, Hare Krishna. Can you have a moment's silence, please? HariBol. So we have some very, very pleasant, joyous announcements today. 2 wonderful couples have decided to come together in marriage, and they want to have the blessings of all of you. So please kindly give them your blessings by being quiet and listening. Hare Krishna. So, it's an amazing situation where the first couple is actually His Holiness Indradyumna Maharaj's disciple, Vrajpati Suta Prabhu. Can I ask him to stand up? Hare Krishna. Prabhuji was also in the in GEV for. In fact, he studied at the Bhaktivedanta Vidyapith for 3 years. Then for the last 6 years till 2024, he's been in various services in GEV. Also served in various capacities during the Kartik Yatra, Parikrama, and the Rishikesh Kirtan festival, and some Polish festivals organized by His Holiness Indradyumna Maharaj. Now he is currently working as a senior design engineer in Bangalore. And may I ask Kirti Kishori Mataji to please stand up. Hare Krishna. So Mataji came in touch with ISKCON from 2013 through His Grace Gaurang Priya Prabhu, and was initiated by His Holiness Radhanath Swami Maharaj 2 years ago. And she has done DT worship diploma course from the GEV. She comes regularly for DT jewelry seva to Radha Gopinath temple. She's also assisting every week in youth preaching program by cooking and DT dressing. She's done a graduation in BBI, and so now both of them are here to seek the blessings of Shri Radha Gopinath ji and the gurus and all of us here. So let us, with our choices, give our choices blessings from the bottom of our hearts by loudly chanting 3 times. HariBol, HariBol, HariBol. Thank you very much. We also have this is a very, both the devotees come from very illustrious families where their parents have been in the movement for over 30 years. Both of them have studied at the Gopal's Garden High School. May I ask Bal Govind Prabhu to please stand up. Bal Govind Prabhu, as many of you know, is the son of Vishwamba Prabhu and Braj Gopi Mataji. He's done his industrial design from Ujjain, and right now he's working here. And may I ask Tanvi to please, Tanvi Devi, to get up. Perhaps, again, so many of you know that she is the daughter of Sudhir Chaitanya Prabhu, Ushapati Mataji, who are also counselors. She has completed her bachelor's degree in fashion designing and is currently pursuing a master's. And she's also part of the DT dressmaking seva for festivals. So may I ask you to very sincerely give our blessings to both of them by loudly chanting 3 times. HariBol, HariBol, HariBol. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. So the devotees, those who want to purchase these books, can kindly collect the books near Prabhupada's Vyasasan and come on the front side to take signature of His Holiness Indradyumna Swami Maharaj. Hare Krishna. जो भक्तों को ये किताब लेनी है महाराज जी की, पहले वो किताब प्रभुपाद के व्यासासन के वहाँ पर जाके खरीद सकते हैं. खरीदने के बाद यहाँ पर आके महाराज जी सिग्नेचर ले सकते हैं.